Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We are doing the second Auric program, which is the adrenals, right? So that would be, was that adrenal support is the blend. And so with the adrenals, this is tied to, being triggered, um, uh, high potentials for like fight flight responses, but also, in the notes it talks about asthenia, which is like depletion of the body, especially in the nervous system. But part of the issue sometimes with the adrenals being a bit overactivated is it can be associated with fatigue. As the body gets a little bit run down, say you're overworking or overdoing it or not sleeping well, or pain, you could be in pain. Pain is very fatiguing to the body. And the way that the body compensates for the fatigue is just starting to elevate small amounts of adrenaline to help your body, have the energy to get through the day. And this happens little by little over a period of time. And then pretty soon, the adrenals are working pretty hard because you're fatigued. One thing that happens is like you calm the adrenals down, and then you're like, oh, I'm exhausted. And you were exhausted before, but adrenaline didn't let you feel that exhausted. But over a period of time, this does start to cause some health issues. So anything that's related to like fight, flight, anxiety, um, here we also have like grinding of the teeth, chronic fatigue syndrome, high blood pressure, kidney disease, Lyme disease. You wouldn't think about it for Lyme disease, but also things like migraine, stress, um, bruxism and teeth, which is teeth grinding, also would be issues with the joint in the jaw, the temporomandibular joint syndrome. And then another one that you wouldn't really think about for this is colitis, but especially ulcerative colitis, where there starts to be like raw spots or spots where there's some internal bleeding um, because of so much inflammation in the gut, right? So this is also very calming to the instinctive mind. It improves some kidney function and helps you to feel relaxed, calm, and can deepen your meditation. When we look at it from the point of view of vibrational healing, we have the aura and the auric program and all the different aspects of the aura. But then when we go to the body directly, that's when we start looking at it from the point of view of vibration. And the vibration that this would be associated with would be your defense mechanisms. Always feeling on guard. Somebody made the comment over the weekend, this last weekend in class. It's like when they start to feel relaxed, it feels I can't remember the exact word she said, but she said something to the effect of it feels like not okay, or it feels dangerous not to be defensive and on guard and like on edge, and that usually is a byproduct of dealing with a lot of chaos over a period of time, or, people who might have a lot of emotions around you, be upset, people throwing fits, at work, like a lot of times people being aggressive. Um, you know, I can think of in my particular case, like when I was younger, there was one person that you always had to walk on eggshells around that person. And it always felt like you had to keep your guard up because if they were having a bad day, everybody was going to have a bad day. If they were having a good day, it meant that you could relax a little bit, whenever you're around this person. And so, any version of this, like sometimes we are just unwinding things from the past. And so, adrenal work is always good. Overstimulated. God, if you look at the news this last couple of weeks, how could you not have a little bit of an adrenal reaction? Even if you're not living out in California, you might have family or friends out there, but it wasn't too long ago, it was the East Coast, with Florida and North Carolina being hit by the hurricanes and just the craziness on that side. So there's always something, you know what I mean? And so this is good for helping to calm everything down, but also to fortify the body for fatigue, to fortify the kidneys and the adrenals so that they're strong and not depleted. Okay. So with that, you have your blend adrenal support. If you don't have the blend, I mean, you can still follow along, but the issue is that the blends were made specifically for the Auric programs, which, you know, are a byproduct of, blockages in the physical body or the form, blockages or issues with the processes or your physiology, and then how you cognitively and emotionally respond to things, both in the environment and your surroundings and other people. All of these, you could say, are a kind of conditioning that then ends up causing these repetitive programs to run in your aura. So a single oil might not have a big impact. The only single oil that really is helpful for reducing an auric program is actually aloes, and not specific to the adrenals, but it does like a good general kind of cleanup, right? So, but if you want to produce the result, the blend was made specifically for that. Okay, so with that, we have a standard approach and we have an advanced approach. So here we're going to do both. The standard approach is good for maintenance, it's good for day to day, and it's what we use when we do what we call Auric stacks, which is when we put 3 or 4 different Auric programs together to go through and treat. And then the advanced approach is when you want to do a really deep dive on the particular program. But this is something you only need to do like maybe once a week. Once a week, maybe pushing it twice a week. You need a little bit of time for your body, emotions, mind, energy body to go through and process all of that. Right? So with that, begin inhaling. And we're inhaling on the whole left side of your body, left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, left ribs, hip, all the way down the sides of the leg to the left outer ankle. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now do the front side of the body, your face, neck, your chest, your whole abdominal area, the front of your pelvis, down the fronts of your legs, all the way down to the tops of your feet. Now the right side of your body. So the right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder and ribs, your right hip, down the outer leg to the right outer ankle. And then the back side of your body, back of your head and neck, your whole back and hips, down the backs of your legs, all the way down to your heels. Then just pause. Pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Okay, so now we're going to do the advanced approach. And with the advanced approach, we do the direction, the quadrants, we do them reverse. And then we go down to the knees, ankles, and soles of the feet, which is a deeper release of the aura. And then we come back around and do it the way that we just did it. And then we do somatic programming, which is when we concretize or physicalize the positive pattern into the energy body and into our body itself, which that is the last step. So let's go through and do that. Notice how you feel, your body, your emotions, your mind. Notice if there's tension or, a little bit of low-grade anxiety. Anxiety is one of those things that you can get, and tension, body tension, where you can get very used to it. And if somebody asks you, like, do you have any tension or a little bit of anxiety? And you'll go, no. And then you go through and you do a process and you go, apparently I did. Like you don't know you have it until it's gone. And so, that's very normal. Like all of us kind of have some version of that. And so even though, you reflect and you go, I don't really feel that wound up or anything, you go through and you start doing a process, you start to relax and you go, ugh, maybe I did have a little body tension, or maybe there was a little bit of anxiety, or, you know, so let's see what happens. So your awareness is on the left side of your body, side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, down the ribs, the hip to the outside of your left leg, all the way down to the ankle. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the back side of the body, the whole back side, back of the head and neck, down the back, the hips, the back of the legs to the heels. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Now the right side of your body. Your awareness is on your right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder and ribs, the right hip, down the outer leg to the right outer ankle. And then the front side of your body, your face and throat, your chest, down the abdominal area, tops of the legs, all the way, tops of your legs, the front of your legs, all the way down to the tops of your feet. Starting to combine things like in a not good way. Sorry about that. And then just pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Now, this next piece, we're going to start inhaling with your awareness on your knees. So you can do your whole knee, like the front, the sides, and the back, or you can just focus on the back of your knee. So either way, you're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the knees. Mm. Yeah, that's a good one. Your awareness is on the ankles. And then the soles of your feet. Your awareness is on the soles of your feet. And then just pause and be still. Just pause and be still. You're just being still. Now let's do the four quadrants again. Left side of your body. So left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, your left ribs, your hip, down the outer left leg to the left outer ankle. Then the front side of your body, your face and neck, your chest, your abdomen, your pelvis down the fronts of your legs to the tops of your feet. Then the right side of the body. Right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder and ribs, your right hip, down the outer legs to the right outer ankle. And then the back side, back of your head and neck, your whole back, your hips, the backs of your legs, all the way down to the heels. And just pause and be still. Now, this last piece is the part tied to the somatic programming. So we've gone through and we've unwound the aura. We've made a shift in the aura and the auric program. And it's called a program because it's just a repetitive motion that keeps producing the same thing over and over again. Remember, the aura is an energetic mold or blueprint that eventually physicalizes into the body, the emotions, and mind. But also outwardly, it's the things that we attract and the things that we're drawn to. So here you're beginning to shift the mold, you're beginning to shift the blueprint. And, sometimes we make a shift and it feels good for a little while and then it kind of bounces back, right? Here, with this somatic programming component, this last little piece, that we're about to do, you're anchoring the shift into the body. You're accelerating the process, the shifting that's going to happen into the body, the emotions and mind, but also you're anchoring the effect that is tied to how we interact with the environment. The things we're attracted to, the things that we get projected at us. Sometimes, if somebody was being very aggressive, for example, to somebody who doesn't have that issue in the aura, they might be aggressive, and then the person's just like, yeah, that person's a jerk, and they walk away. But if we have the programs running in our aura that, you know, that kind of triggers that aggression, just continues and continues and continues in the physical body, and will keep going on for days, weeks, even months because of a bad interaction. Because things get triggered, things get agitated in the aura, and then also in the physical body. So we want to break this. This formula that we're using for the adrenal support, I mean, this is just a good example, is that this is what I used to use when I would treat people who had been in a substantial car accident, whiplash or some other kind of injury, because we'd be unwinding the condition, the injuries. And, on one level, they have aches and pains, they have areas that got injured, they're sore. But usually within 2 or 3 weeks, they start to have fatigue issues. They start to feel a little bit run down. Their sleep's off. They start to have some anxiety, and it's because the body is still in fight flight. They're still in that feeling or thought, that reaction to the car accident, even though it's been weeks or sometimes even a month or two. And so this is a way to regulate the adrenals, strengthen the body, right? So even just doing this as general maintenance sometimes can have a very fortifying effect, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Doesn't have to be for a particular reason. Sometimes you just go and do a little tune up so I don't feel run down, so I don't feel fatigued, or I don't feel so defensive, or sometimes it's not necessarily that even that your adrenals are overactivated, it's that they become hyperreactive. And so what happens is, before it took this much for your adrenals to like kick in and for you to go into fight flight. And when they become hyperreactive, it's like just like that, you know? And so, anyway, so this last piece is the somatic programming component. So your awareness is on the brain. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the brain. Now do your spine. Your awareness is on your spine. And then your awareness is on your brain and spine both at the same time. And then the brain and the soles of your feet. And then you're going to inhale, moving your awareness up above the ankles, and exhale, moving your awareness down into the earth. This is referred to as chakral breathing. Your inhale, moving the energy up, and then you're exhaling, moving your awareness down into the earth. This helps mix the energy with the earth. And then just pause and be still. Notice how you feel, your body, your emotions, your thoughts. What do you notice? How do you feel? What's happening with your mind, your thoughts? Does your body feel different? Let's go ahead and unmute ourselves or type in. Can share experiences and process. We'll do that, and then we'll slip into our normal Q&A.
Yeah, go ahead, Denise, then Ralph.
Hey, Denise.
Hi, Greg, what is in the adrenal support, the blend that you mentioned?
It is. Let's look it up just to make sure I don't start making stuff up. So it's Ravensara, and Ravensara is very good for like energy levels, but not like it's not stimulating. It's like more fortifying. And Ravensara, it's an antiviral and good for things like that. But one of the things about Ravensara, like there's this term in medical aromatherapy where they call it like an environmental treatment. And that just kind of means that it's not necessarily about chasing after a symptom, but it just makes like the body function better. And it's not necessarily, excuse me, like a body stimulant, but it's so fortifying that it just makes everything like a better version of itself. You know what I mean? So Ravensar is quite nice.
Is it the one with the T, Greg, or the Ravent Sara?
No,
Or
it's the Raven Sara. Yeah,
okay, thank
yeah,
you,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why people did that and named those two oils. Because the other thing is they're a little bit similar, but then they're not, so just to make it extra confusing. And so then it has timelinolol, which timelinolol is it's a form of time, and it's a different what they call chemotype of time, and it's a much softer, gentler form of time. So it's great for even like children, but it's great for like long-term use. It's very soothing. It doesn't really generate a lot of heat, where like some people might be sensitive if they put like red thyme or white thyme on the skin directly. It would just like maybe irritate it a little bit. It doesn't me, but I mean, it definitely can.
Okay,
Timelinolol, you could go crazy with it, putting it all over your body, wouldn't irritate the skin at all. It's very, very gentle. And so then there's basil, which basil and thyme both are very fortifying to the adrenals, the stimulating adrenal function, which, when using herbs or oils, when you say stimulating, it just means improving the function. It doesn't mean like a cup of coffee or, a couple cups of espresso and where you're like, "Eh." It just means it's making things work better, like to their highest potential. And then the other part of basil is it's one of the better things for undoing the effects of stress. And it's like a cognitive stimulant as well. It makes your mind work better.
wow.
There is just a hint of oregano. And oregano is actually quite good for energy, but it also is very toning to the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which when that part loses tone, we're always talking about vagal tone and rest and repair and everything. But when the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which is action, activity, fight, flight, all those kinds of things, um, when you lose tone there, you tend to get stressed out a little bit easier. Your body doesn't quite work as well. You can actually even start to have motor function issues, like hand-eye coordination or motor coordination can diminish quite substantially. And you can start to lose like sense of balance, and there's even a thing called sympathetic dystonia where you kind of your nervous system goes out and you kind of have these periods where you kind of like start swaying, and it almost looks like somebody starts, like when they have it, they look like they start dancing,
Oh,
but it's like they're like swaying to some music that's not there, and then they'll fall or drop down to a knee, and it's just because their nervous system's not working quite as well.
wow.
Almost like they go into like sleep mode but standing up, because they start to have like excessive fight rest and repair, and it's not being balanced by the other system, and so they kind of get a little bit of uh like the spins, or a balance issue, like inner equilibrium in the air can go off, and so it's not the only thing that can happen to the inner ear, but it's one of the things. And so there's just a hint of the oregano. Oregano can be a little too strong sometimes. It's always kind of good to use in a blend. I mean, you can take it straight, like in some water and something if you were really sick, but it's not something you'd want to use long term without blending it. Sometimes when people do a little bit of oregano and not enough water and stuff, it'll cause like a burning sensation, especially down by the navel. Just because it's got so much heat to it, so it's so hot, and
Wow.
it can be a little bit caustic. And so, you know, all the other oils together, there's 27 parts of that, and then there's just one part of oregano. So it's just like a hint. It's like if you salt and pepper your food, it's got just a little tiny bit of salt, but not massive amounts. And so this blend is very fortifying. And I mean, it was something that had gotten developed when I was treating a lot of whiplash patients. I mean, I'd always had that formula, but I really fine-tuned it when I was dealing with whiplash patients. And with whiplash, they'll get an injury and the degeneration keeps happening. So you chase after symptoms, but the degeneration keeps happening. And so part of it is the body's still in fight flight. You're starting to lose some of the tone in the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which is the fight flight mechanism, because it's like it's overworking, and the body starts to get fatigued, and they go deeper and deeper into like an inflammatory state. And so, sleep gets thrown off, all kinds of things get thrown off. And
Can digestion get thrown off
no,
too?
digestion definitely would. Digestion, blood pressure, headaches, migraines. Doesn't mean that this is necessarily a cure for those things, but it definitely is helpful and is definitely something that you would use to prevent the body from going into those kinds of conditions, or slowly over a period of time, it's what helps pull the body out of that kind of thing. And so it's a pretty solid blend. Like, you could use it in the Auric program, or you could also use it like as a body tonic. And I mean, sometimes in the old days, I would have people take it internally. Like I would have them take 2, 3 drops a couple of times a day if they had been in a car accident. And people who thought that all this oil stuff was a bunch of BS, like, clients that I would have, they'd go, but that one blend really worked. Like I had more energy, and this is the blend. I mean, this is exactly the blend. And so it's a way to fortify the body without generating a lot of heat and without being like over energized or feeling wound up. It's calming, it's gentle, it's soothing, it's fortifying, in a way you could say it's balancing. Uh,
Wow.
and even though you're increasing energy levels and fortifying, it's kind of soothing, like because you are regulating the adrenals somewhat.
It feels like a warm blanket in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Like,
as
you want to just get all cozy and,
yeah,
but
especially after a whiplash or an
yeah,
accident like that,
yeah, yeah,
you almost need that stabilizing.
yeah.
So,
I,
well,
I, I, I would say after any big traumatic event, whiplash is a physical event, but, say you have a blow up at work or there's some big weird thing that happened and, it's super emotional, or even you see something in the news and you're super upset, at first you're going to calm down, but sometimes like the effect of the traumatic event will continue to keep your body in defense mode. And eventually you'll start to get tired or fatigued. And so it's a way to regulate the adrenals, offset the fatigue, fortify the body, and kind of calm and soothe the emotions in the mind. Yeah.
and you do the body tonic, and I guess, it really need be maybe a little bit internally. And would you, is this an inhalation one as well?
Yeah, oh, totally. Like how we're doing it right now, you could inhale it. I mean, when people felt uncomfortable about taking things internally, I would just have them inhale it. I think back in the whiplash days, if I remember right, I didn't do too many like body tonics. I either had them take it internal or inhale it. Putting it on topically, it depends on the population you're dealing with. And back then, when I was working on whiplash patients, they weren't people who were involved in anything holistic. I was actually working with an ER doctor, and so I was getting just these people that I've never known. N- it's not like I knew them and would have conversations with them. I was just some weird guy that she would send them to. And, so most of them I could get to inhale, but, if they were really, jacked up, I could get them to take it internal. But for the most part, they were not people who would, take herbs or vitamins or anything like that. But they would feel so good right off the bat that they would keep doing it because it produced a result. That's the only thing that kept them doing it.
Thank you. No,
Yeah,
this is excellent. And I have had a sideways whiplash, and it took a long time. I'm not
yeah,
even
it
sure
does.
if
Yeah, it
this
sure
wouldn't work
does.
quite well for me now, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
You can go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. Okay, so we've gone through and we've done the advanced approach here on adrenal support.
Mhm.
So maybe not if we want to review adrenal support during the week, we do the standard approach. But
Yeah,
unless we were really feeling our oats, probably not try the advanced
yeah.
approach this week.
And I would say it would depend on the person. I mean, you do enough oil work and everything that if you want to do it a couple of times a week, that would be fine.
Okay.
But like for somebody who's like maybe a little bit newer, once a week would probably be good. But if you wanted to go at it a little bit tougher, you could do that. But then I would still just do maintenance after that, in between. And it doesn't even have to be done every day. But you'll notice that your energy levels, it's not like you have this burst of energy like, oh, I inhale it and now I'm going to get up and clean the house or something. You'll just notice like, okay, I feel really relaxed, but in the next few days you'll notice I'm doing stuff more, I'm more active, I have more endurance, I have more stamina. I'm not having to stop because I don't feel good. That's the way that it usually works for me. Is like I inhale it and I go, yeah, I feel good, I feel relaxed. But then I notice in the next couple of days, I'm more dynamic and I'm more active. Where when you're starting to feel fatigued, it's like I need to know all the information before I get up from this chair. Where when you're feeling good, you just get up and start doing stuff, and you don't really think about it. And so that's my experience with it is like you're up and moving and doing things, and if somebody says like, hey, could you help me with this, you know, you pop up and just start doing it without thinking about it. But when you don't feel good and you feel tired and fatigued, you're like, okay, yeah, let's do this. What are we doing again? Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're trying to psych yourself up or generate the energy to do it. And so I would say in a way, it's not like a medical term or whatever, but it's almost like you're more spirited. Like, you know, you get up and you just start doing stuff and being a little bit more dynamic, and there's this uh inner drive to do things that maybe wasn't there before. You know, pain will suck that right out of you. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know, I
Mhm.
just so many times, like you know, dealing with pain or an injury, and you know, you just go, okay, yeah, I guess I'm just getting older or whatever, which is true. Like, you know, for me, it's like it's true, but a lot of times it's because, you know, the body got really beat up when I was young. And so when I do something like this, all of a sudden I notice I don't think about like, I need to get up and do this, I need to do that. I just start bouncing around and doing things, and then I'll go, yeah, like I apparently I'm feeling better, and you know, I have a little more stamina, I have a little more endurance. I'm not wanting to, you know, sit down and rest for a minute before I do a next like big physical activity. I just go from one thing to the next, and you know, yeah. I mean, it's helpful. It's not a magic bullet where it's going to fix everything, you know, because like
Mhm.
whiplash is a good example. Still got to treat some of the symptoms, you know,
Mhm.
like yeah, if you have an injured neck and shoulder, but I noticed that using this blend, that the the person responds better to treatment and gets better effects for the conditions that you're treating because the body's not so fatigued. You know, like if the adrenals are super overactivated, you don't really respond to healing or a healing process very well. You know, there's a few things you look at, like why isn't this person getting better, or why am I not, you know, feeling better with all this? And you know, you look at agitation in the body, but one of the things is you look at adrenals, because even if you look at it from an energetic point of view, like why, you know, you do some work on somebody and it's like, God, why isn't this person, you know, responding better? You know, because it could be very multifaceted. It's not always like one thing, but I always like to try to go, okay, what are potential problems? And one of them from an energetic point of view is the Ming Men. The Ming Men super overactivated, and it causes congestion in the body, and it keeps depleting the lower centers and trying to send energy up to the higher centers because that's what the Ming Men does. But the Ming Men also is tied to the adrenals and the kidneys. And so a lot of times when there's Ming Men issues, there's usually adrenal issues. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So in doing the standard approach,
Hmm.
um, can we do the standard approach and then do head, torso, hips down?
Sure.
Okay. So that will be sort of a standard approach plus one kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
thing.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things that you could do, like, you know, because it sounds like you want to explore it a little bit, like you could totally do that. But like if you have areas in your body, like you go, okay, my hips and my psoas and my low back, they're a little shaky, you know. And so part of what's happening there is, for one, they're probably a little bit depleted, and two, especially with pain syndromes, like that itself will target and activate the adrenals. You know, like anytime you have pain, it starts to kick your body into fight flight. And so one of the things that I used to explore with some of the patients was that we would not just look at trying to calm the adrenals down by like a general approach. I'd have them spend time like, okay, you have a hip problem. Let's go into the hip, like inhale it, but into the hip. And just like how we do our processes.
Right.
And you have some knee problems, inhale it with your awareness on the knees, because you're unwinding the tendency in the body to overstimulate the adrenals. So if you have like a hot spot, you go, okay, let's hit that hot spot. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of like what in like the colored healers, from the Foundation for Mystical Healing, like
Yes.
green kind of does that, blue kind of does that, and violet does that, the violet healer. And they'll calm down the tendency for an area to activate the adrenals. And so, there's different things that we do that do that. But this is one of those things that if you're going through and you're doing the maintenance and you go, but oh God, my back's a little wonky today, you know, you don't want that back to like keep kicking the adrenals into overdrive as you're laying down and going to sleep. Because especially with pain patterns, people will start to develop like a phobia for like bedtime, because they have experiences of not getting good sleep or not feeling good. But during the day, say you have a hip that's hurting or something, you have the distractions of the day, but then when you lay down, you don't have the distractions, and so the pain in the hip becomes more magnified because you don't have the distraction. And so what will happen is people, as they get ready to go to bed, especially when it starts to become more chronic, which means longer than 30 days, they'll start to have a little bit of like first stress and anxiety, but eventually it will turn into a phobia about going to sleep, going to bed, because they've had so many bad experiences. And so if you look at them from uh, physiological point of view, as they lay down, their adrenals start to kick in. Like they're starting to have overreactive or hyperreactive adrenal activity as they're laying down and starting to rest. And so even if you look at the idea of like how do you wake up in the morning, you're in this deep sleep and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm kind of waking up and coming out of it. And, that's a little bit of adrenal activity kicking you out of your sleep to get you up and going in the morning. And so, when you're having like pain syndromes and things, the adrenals will start doing that right as you lay down. Like, because your body has the bad experience of laying down and not getting good sleep. So your adrenals go, just get up and move around. Just get up and distract yourself some more. It's just like a survival mechanism. But I would say even further that, how sometimes, there's times in the morning, especially when I was younger, like when I would wake up in the morning, I felt like a lame cow, like just
Oh yeah, I was that way, and my mother absolutely
right. And
liked
then
to
there's
beat the shit
times,
out of me for that.
yeah, yeah. And then there's times where you wake up and you're like, put me in, coach, put me in. I'm ready to go. Like that really is about adrenal activity. You've had some rest, but the adrenals aren't functioning properly when you wake up and you're still feeling sluggish for a period of time. And I as I got older, I started reflecting. I was like, yeah, that if I look at that pattern like over several months, I've been feeling kind of crappy for a little while, and then all of a sudden I just getting up in the morning was really hard. But if the adrenals are regulated, then when you wake up, you get that little burst of adrenaline to get you up out of bed, and you're just like, okay, I'm ready to go. And that adrenaline doesn't stay going. It just is a little like wake up call. It's like a little inner alarm clock. And so, even if waking time is having a hard time, I would do the adrenals. But here's another one, and it's not necessarily like a condition like what we're doing here, but this is a little bit more of a functional problem. So, I'm going to do a whole nother layer of other things to treat in the Auric programs, but memory is also tied to adrenal function. And so, like, you might have certain memory issues where if the adrenals are depleted or they're over, if they're hyperreactive, you might not have quite memory issues, but if they're depleted, you'll have memory issues because part of memory is actually tied to fight, flight, action, sympathetic nervous system activity. And if you don't have that, you really don't form memories like you should. And so even like memory issues can be considered a bit of an adrenal issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm having ongoing problems with my sternocleidomastoid. So run the adrenal support program process on the
Yeah, I
sternocleidomastoid.
like that for that, because um, you know, it could be from an injury, could be, sternocleidomastoid issue. Like everybody really has it to a certain degree, but when it starts to be a problem, like you said, you know it. And so I would say that if the sternocleidomastoid is real tight, which is that those two rope muscles that come down from behind the ear down to the sternum and the clavicle.
Those are the ones.
Yeah.
Yep, them.
So, for those who don't know what that is, but um, when those are tight, I would say there's an adrenal issue. Like
Okay.
the adrenal issue didn't really cause it, but because they're tight, that there's going to be some sort of little bit, not massive, but there's going to be a little bit of an adrenal issue.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're right on track with what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And my other
How is
question.
the neck doing, by the way? Is it unwinding or are you feeling?
It was unwinding a little bit, and I've noticed the past at least couple of weeks it's been constantly tight and uncomfortable. Constantly.
Hmm.
And I'm also having the problem of not being able to walk down the street straight. I'm finding that
Yeah, that's a
I,
sternocleidomastoid issue, right?
I find that I'm forever weaving down the street like I've
Yeah.
been drinking.
And the leg will like one you'll be going like this and then a leg goes like this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a sternocleidomastoid issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so lantana, even the timelinolol, like, put a little thyme on there, a little vetiver. I mean, I'd explore the different things, but also unwinding the diaphragm a bit, all the things that we do. Like if you just keep doing it, we'll get there. And then the vetiver at the base of the skull and everything like that.
Yeah.
All of that should be helpful.
Okay. All right. Okay. I got one more question on trees, but
Sure.
I'll ask that one later.
Okay.
Or do you want me to ask it now?
Let's do the Auric program first, and then we'll come back to it.
I'll come back. Okay, good. Thanks.
And this is great Auric program, just so you guys know who are just come in or we're still on the Auric program doing the adrenal questions or shares or whatever you want. And go ahead, Terry Lynn, then Letty.
Hey, Terry, then.
Not quite. We can't quite hear you yet. Let's try. I don't know.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey.
there you are. There you are.
Thank you. So fabulous program tonight. I'm really, really grateful. You keep talking about how pain affects the adrenals as
Oh yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm focusing on that, and I don't know if you remember, I have MS. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I I have a lot of pain
Yeah.
constantly every day. It's a it, it doesn't end ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you had a thought about how all that interacts with my adrenals, and if this
Yeah, it
is
would
a
be constantly stimulating the adrenals. And there's an approach that they do in Germany. Like it doesn't really tackle the MS so much directly, but it's an attempt to deal with like the effects of the MS, and they'll use lemon verbena. And lemon verbena, anything that has a like kind of a lemony scent is always kind of relaxing and soothing to the body, but uplifting. But the reason that they use the lemon verbena is it's calming and soothing, but it also is very fortifying and regulating to the whole endocrine system. And so the
yeah.
idea is kind of where you're going with it is to try to help, regulate the adrenals when you're dealing with the different kinds of, pains that keep popping up in the body and everything. And um, the the approach with the adrenals or the approach with lemon verbena, it's just helps keep the body in a more stable place as you have those issues with the MS.
Thank you. You had recommended lemon verbena because my face was really slouchy.
Uh-huh.
And and you recommended rubbing it in to my face, and that I don't know. Do you feel like I feel like it's better. And so grateful for that. But then I stopped using it. Um, so are you thinking lemon verbena
I
or
would
this
use
process?
for you with MS. I would use lemon verbena. It doesn't have to be constant like every day, but I would use it pretty consistently. Like, you
Oh,
might go through periods where you use it for a couple months and then you take a little bit of a break. But it's like going to be one of like if you had a desert island, your top five oils, lemon verbena would be one of your top five oils.
inhaling or internally?
Inhaling, I would even take a few drops internally, daily for periods of time. I think you'll find that like kind of calming and soothing, but also that effect on the glands and the endocrine system, which would also impact the adrenals, would be quite helpful. So
Okay.
yeah, I would
That's
definitely
the
do
end
that.
of my question. Thank you so much. I
You're
really
so welcome.
appreciate you and
Hey, keep us
everything you
posted. If you
do.
ever need to troubleshoot any of that stuff, you let me know.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you did a private consultation kind of thing. Do you still do that?
Yeah, she'll post the number and like text me and we'll get you into the schedule at some point.
Okay, Sam, so can you email that to me, that number, and I can text him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Robert did
okay,
put a link in the chat too, but I'm happy to email you.
okay, cool. I get paid on next week. I get paid next week, so I would love to chat with you. And I
Okay.
hate to dismiss it away from this session. That was fabulous, even
Oh,
though my cat was all in this. Like, so thank you.
you're so welcome.
I liked the cats.
Yeah. Sam was telling me like she has such a cute cat.
He is so lovely and so wonderful. And whenever I sit in this chair, I am his territory.
Right.
So, yeah, yeah. And you didn't hear the dogs barking. You missed out on that.
No, we
So,
did.
yay you. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Letty, then to Joel.
Hey, Letty.
Ooh. Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam. So my question is not related to the practice. So or is there anybody?
Yeah, we still have quite a few chat questions
Okay.
related to this. Yeah.
So we'll come back around.
Yeah.
All right.
We got you and Ralph in the queue, so I'll call on you guys when we're done with the adrenal talk.
Okay, thanks.
And go ahead, Tajal.
Hey, Tajal.
Hey Greg, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, so I have a question regarding this fall. Like last November, I fell down in the kitchen while working, and my balance went, everything, my weight, body weight went on my left side. So left side of the body. So I had a full left side was paining, but now I have pain in my left shoulder and the arm and the left leg, more towards knee area. There is a swelling which is not going on.
How
And
long ago did the fall happen?
November last week, like last year.
Okay. And so when you just did this protocol with the adrenal support, how did that make, I know it's not necessarily a pain reliever, but did it help your body to feel a little more relaxed or a little bit better?
Yeah, I feel light, and internally I felt like my body is in the shock. It need healing, kind of, or some kind of relaxation. And what happens in between, like my hand becomes very stiff, like left side. So I have to support to lift my left hand with the right hand. And then last Tuesday, my right hand become exactly the same side where I have left hand pain. It is exactly the same side of my right hand.
Yeah. So I would keep doing the adrenal support, but it sounds like you have some tension around the muscles and things around the vertebrae in your neck. And so I would put things like marjoram on your neck. Keep doing the adrenal support, but do things like marjoram, and then things that are good for pain, like so pain soothe or the pain relief neuropathic would be super good. And then you could also nerve soothe would be another one. Like so between those three and doing the adrenal support, it should be quite helpful.
Okay, and one more piece is like last, I think Thursday, one of my friend has done healing on me. So while healing in the evening, I felt very cold and the chill then. And after that, like below my throat, my whole body becomes stiff. I cannot move. I cannot do anything.
Yeah,
And there was a lot
that's
of
still
pain.
that's still the issue that we're talking about. Like
Oh, okay.
you're
So
having
now,
manifestations, like you really treat the neck, like you're especially the back of the neck and the sides of the neck. Really
okay.
treat the neck,
And
even a
do
little
you,
bit of like the top of the shoulders and things, and then keep doing the adrenal support.
do you think any muscle tear or anything? Like I have done the MRI, but my report is not yet
I
came.
think there's some issues in the spine, so just keep loosening up the spine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I'll
Okay.
also message for personal one-on-one help, and you
Okay.
can help me out. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
So this question came in right kind of when you were first talking and going through the different things with the adrenal support.
Mhm.
And they said, what about depletion from chronic use of prednisone?
Yeah, it would still be another thing that you could do. Um, with something like that, you could use the adrenal support by itself, but I would probably do it also internally for something like that. Because the prednisone and opioids will like either cause depletion or cover up depletion. So I would say maybe take a little bit of adrenal support internally for a little while. Like 2 or 3 drops in water, like 1 to 2 times a day, and that should be very helpful. But it would be a long-term approach. So do it for like at least 30 days, maybe.
And that's great. That actually answered a different question, which was, can we take adrenal support internally?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Is it beneficial to do amen and stabilize after this?
Yeah, that's a thing from this class over the weekend. You could definitely do Amen and the stabilized blend after that. You just inhale it, but it would continue the manifestation of the shift in the processes that you're putting in place. So yeah.
So earlier you had given us a tincture for to help like augment and utilize doing the ARC program.
Mhm.
Which tincture was that?
So there's two different tinctures you could use here. One is the aloes, the spagyric aloes tincture, or the spagyric mimosa. Either one will help any and all of the Auric programs.
Would you take that before, after?
Yeah, either way.
Either way.
Yeah, yeah.
Question, is this safe for people with hypothyroidism?
Yeah.
Because I noticed my thyroid throbbing when inhaling this blend. Also, could this oil be used topically for teeth grinding before bed?
Over a period of time, part of the teeth grinding is that your body's in defense mode. So it would be something that you would put in motion for that, but it might not resolve at all, the teeth grinding. Part of that is the body is in a lot of like defense mechanism oriented processes. And so vibrationally, that's known as resonance. And we're going to be doing a whole class on that in February. But it's just about calming down all the defense mechanisms in the body, the hyper reactive or hyper vigilant defense mechanisms. And so this would be helpful. It's not going to completely knock it out, but it would be helpful. Yeah.
And one more,
Mhm.
could I do this protocol before I do physical activity that might agitate my whiplash? I had a car accident several years ago and have noticed that my whiplash comes back if I do a lot of back and forth.
So, yeah, like part of what happens when you have excessive defense mechanisms or you have an injury, or, again, here we're talking most likely also about fatigue, is that one of the byproducts of fatigue is that as you're doing things, your body starts to get tired. So then it starts to make these choices about like, okay, when I'm walking, I'm really going to engage this leg more than the other leg just to try to reserve, some energy. And so what starts to happen is you start to have muscle imbalances and you start to have a little bit weird interactions, and things will reach a threshold very quickly and then kind of go into a spasm or shut down. And so, again, it might not be the complete treatment, but definitely it would be a big piece of the treatment, trying to fortify the body so that you can have more energy to go through and do things. And as soon as the body gets fatigued, it's going to start causing some of those problems. So it's a way to diminish the fatigue so that your body has a less likely tendency to go there, but you still might need to treat the neck with things like marjoram and vetiver and lantana, things that will help unwind the neck. But I would say that does sound like you got a bit of fatigue there. And so as soon as you start working things, the thing that I like about using vetiver, spikenard, valerian on areas like that is myrrh is another one, is it will help to unwind muscle imbalances. And so if you've had an old injury and there's some fatigue there, like the combination of the adrenal support with some of those other oils will help to unwind the muscle imbalance and improve energy levels and endurance and stamina when you're having physical activity.
So great Q&A, guys, shares and everything. That does finish up our adrenal support week 2. Hope you guys are enjoying. Just so you know, Troy, there's a couple people ahead of you, but we'll go ahead now and start with Ralph, then Letty, then Troy, then Lolly.
Okay.